The sanctuary faced the west, so that when the priests ministered, their backs always faced the east. Within the second apartment was the golden ark of the covenant, which contained the 10 Commandment law. This apartment was called the most holy place. God himself had inscribed the 10 Commandments on the 2 tables of stone. Now it's interesting, there was so much interest and so many people looking for the Ark of the Covenant. Yet they're not interested in what the Ark of the Covenant is about. The Ark of the Covenant is simple. It's about storing the 10 Commandments. So people are looking all over the world for the Ark of the Covenant without realizing that the very thing it holds, the 10 Commandments, is the very thing that they're not interested in following. I don't know if anyone ever saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. And in the film, Harrison Ford actually gets to see the Ark of the Covenant. It's impossible. Anyone that saw the Ark of the Covenant would be struck dead. Anyone that touched it would be struck dead. And the story is true. Hitler was he sent out many spies and scouts because he wanted to win the war. So he thought if he could have the Ark of the Covenant, because in his mind he thought it was some super weapon, that if he could get hold of the Ark of the Covenant, then he would be the world leader. But the man had no idea that it contained the 10 Commandments, the very thing that he was breaking. Now, God's people followed the sacrificial system since the earliest time. As soon as sin came into this planet, there was a sacrificial system. But unfortunately, as soon as this system came into place, already there was 2 forms of worship. Here we see Cain and Abel, and Cain had his own form of worship, whereas Abel was following the true worship. And this stems in the last days. When we look at the book of Revelation, chapter 13, 14, 15 and 17, we will see again there's going to be 2 forms of worship. You're either going to worship the beast or you're going to worship God. And the whole point that Jesus had to come and die was because sin came onto this earth. And the Bible tells us that sin is the transgression of God's law. Therefore, God's law cannot be changed. If God's law can be changed, then Jesus didn't have to die. It's as simple as that. But he had to die because you cannot change the law of God. And Jesus cried with a loud voice, "It is finished," and gave up the ghost, and the veil of the temple was rent in twain from top to bottom. No one was allowed to go into the most holy place except the high priest. But the time came that when Jesus died on the cross, the curtain that separated the holy and the most holy place was ripped in 2, which symbolized the finishing of this system. And you find this in the book of Daniel. And so on a daily basis, the priest would come in and he would offer incense and he would offer the blood of sacrifices on a daily basis. The ministration of the sanctuary consisted of 2 divisions, a daily and a yearly service. The daily service was performed at the altar of burnt offering in the court of the tabernacle and in the holy place. An offering of sweet incense was placed on the golden altar, and the special offerings for individual sins. So people will come and they'll lay their hands on the lamb and they will slay the lamb themselves, and that blood was offered as a sacrifice to atone for their sin. And we find here the table of showbread and the 7 candlestick lamp. And then once a year the high priest would go into the most holy place, and there he would place blood, anoint the most holy, the Ark of the Covenant there. Now Josephus says this. Josephus was a famous Jewish historian. Now Moses, taking his station at the mountain called Sinai, he drove his flocks hither to feed them. Now this is the highest of all the mountains thereabout. As they travelled this route,